We have an amazing story tonight of true Rotary heroes. The concern for the life of a 5-year-old girl, half a world away, has resulted in 38,000 children receiving a chance at life because humans engaged in Rotary opportunities. They're heroes. I give you sponsoring Rotarian Robbie Donno and the first recipient of Gift of Life, Grace Agwaru. This is their story. Robbie, Grace, thank you.
Well, thank you for having us, Noel. It's a pleasure. You put on a good show. I have to tell you, we're really enjoying this. Just some quick thoughts. I met Noel at a Rotary International Convention, and it's funny how people in Rotary think alike. In our district, I had designed superheroes, Rotary Man and Rotary Woman, because Noel and I look at people that are around us as heroes doing the service, doing kindnesses to people. And to dovetail on a message that was given by the chief, it is about unconditional love, loving somebody for no other reason than their need, and extending outward toward them to save their life or to make their life better. So I'm going to go into just a little bit of the history of the Gift of Life, throw caution to the wind. As a young Rotarian, I joined Rotary in November of 1971. So this year is my 50th anniversary as a Rotarian. In the Rotarian magazine in December 1973, there was an article that caught my eye called A New Face for Margaret Rose. It was about a little girl in a nomadic tribe that had been attacked by a hyena, and the hyena ate her face. When you engage Rotarians in your club, you have assets. And in my club, we had a 79-year-old retired plastic surgeon by the name of Dr. Joseph Caltagirone. I used to leave work early so I could sit next to him because he was a fascinating man. I was 27 at the time, he was 79. And I put this article on the desk at our lunch meeting and said, "Hey, Doc, is there something that we could do for this kid?" And he started to orchestrate me. He had surgeons that he was sure he could convince to operate on the child. So he had assets. He was going to engage somebody. And then we had to find the medical records, a hospital, and other things, housing and whatnot. So he asked me to get, the medical records, and we had to see her face. So if I could have the next slide. This is Margaret Rose at 18. She had been mauled by the hyena when she was 8. So the Rotarians in Kampala, Uganda, took care of this girl for 10 years and educated her. She wanted to give back because of the kindnesses that were extended to her by Rotarians and wanted to become a nurse. But she was so horrible to look at that she had to wear a burlap bag over her face, and they cut holes in it for her eyes and her nose, and so she could speak. So this struck me as a compelling story, and our club started to put a program together. The doctor got ill, passed away suddenly, and again, another asset in our club was the vice president of development of St. Francis Hospital, asked me what I was trying to do. The next thing you know, we're putting a program together for Margaret. And we finally had all the pieces. Sent the information to the Kampala Rotary Club, and it used to take 2 months to get a return letter, not texting or emails anymore during those days. And I got this very nice letter saying that Margaret had been taken to Australia. A Rotarian had showed up there doing cleft palates. Again, the assets, people extending themselves, unconditional love, heroes, and had taken Margaret back to Australia with him. In its place, they put in the packet the medical records of a 5-year-old Grace Agwaru, who needed heart surgery. And since St. Francis Hospital was a heart specialty center, this was right in their wheelhouse. And we brought Grace. You now see her picture as a 5-year-old with her dad, who was scared to death. And that's the 29-year-old version of me. I actually was cleaned up for that picture. My hair was longer, my mustache was longer, and Sylvester, Grace's dad, was kind of scared when he met me at the airport because I looked more like I belonged to a rock band than a Rotary club. So we went ahead and we pursued her surgery, and she was successfully operated on at St. Francis Hospital. Sylvester was very pleased. Can I have the next slide? And we're figuring things out as we go along. We needed to have a host family to house her for a period of time, 3 or 4 weeks after her surgery, so she could see how she's doing as an outpatient. And I called my mother, hello, Mom, I have Sylvester from Uganda and his daughter. Can you put them up? And she said, okay. And that's the way Mom was. There wasn't any worry about whether there was any extenuating circumstance. Whatever it is, bring Grace to the house, bring her dad to the house. And as the picture shows, she just demonstrated her love. Could I have the next slide? The product obviously is this, 40 some odd years later, you're in Uganda and you're meeting this beautiful woman who whose life you touched when she was a child. She grew up to be an agricultural economist. She's a spokesperson and ambassador for the gift of life. And her father is forever grateful. He had changed my life. When we said goodbye at the airport, he hugged and cried. And I can tell you that if there's a moment of epiphany for me, it was that moment, saying goodbye. I never thought I'd see Grace again. She was a 5-year-old getting on an airplane, and it was not a big moment, but for him, it was a big moment. And I knew that if I had lived another day in my life, that my life was worth living because of what had been done for him. Years later, and if I can have the next slide, we have now developed a program where we're training doctors and nurses in other countries and establishing fully sustainable cardiac programs. We're important. You talk about impact on people and engaging people in Rotary. We engage governments, companies, foundations, other charities doing this work. And in this picture is when we were in Uganda. In the center is Prime Minister Rugunda of Uganda. He met us on 2 days' notice. The man in the checkered shirt to his left is Dr. Craig Sable of the Washington National Children's Hospital in Washington. And we're doing research projects on rheumatic heart disease and think we're at the doorstep of eradicating, being able to prevent rheumatic heart disease. Like polio, this is a preventable disease that has now impacted, there's 39 million people that have rheumatic heart disease. 93% of the world does not have access to cardiac care. So a week and a half ago, next slide, please, we were in Kosovo. We operated on 29 children in 5 days. The president of Kosovo, who was in the center, the woman in the center, came by to see us on the 21st of April, making sure that we were comfortable setting up the hospital, and she wants us to create a program there. The bottom line of all of this is about loving people no matter where they're from, no matter what their background is, their religion, their race, or none of that matters. What matters is investing in a child. And, at 75 years old, which I am now, and with 38,000 children, you would think that I am tired. I'm not, because I get to see somebody like the person you're about to meet, number one of 38,000. And Chief, if you want inspiration, this is inspiration. And if I were the head of Rotary, these people would be the spokesperson, because Grace can talk about not only the heart surgery in her country, what her life is, but what the life of all those other people are. And we have 38,000 of those people. So I am pleased. She's absolutely beautiful, even at 2:00 in the morning, Uganda time. Please meet Grace Agwaru. Grace?
Thank you.
So you're wide awake now?
Yes, I am awake.
Okay. So why don't you tell everybody about your story and your experience with Gift of Life?
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank you all so much for inviting me. I'm really I feel so special being invited here today. I just want to start by saying that did you know that gift of life is a gift of life and also a gift of love? Um, I was this helpless child at that time, and I didn't have any help. And so were my parents. They also were helpless. But through the love that they had for me, and also the love from the Rotarians, the doctors and nurses, I was able to get this help that I really needed. My parents were really desperate to give me help. But even when they received this help, at that time, they started to realize that actually, maybe this help is coming too soon, because the doctors had told them that I would not live beyond 16 years. But now that I was going for the surgery, they started to think that I may not make it through the surgery. So my father actually talks about how they had a lot of argument as to whether really I should go for this. And mom actually was supposed to take me for my surgery. But at that moment, she sort of declined. She could not imagine that maybe I may not make it through the surgery. So my father had to step in. But my father talks a lot about the journey to the United States. He said he was so tormented because he knew that my mom was very anxious about the outcome. And throughout the journey, he said that he was just thinking about what would he tell my mom if I didn't make it through the surgery. And he says that I was sitting next to him on the aeroplane, and each time he kept glancing at me, and he was like, we are traveling two people on this journey, but I don't know whether we shall come back two people. So my father says that throughout this whole journey, he was really tormented. And the only time he had a little bit of hope was when we arrived at New York's airport. And he saw Robbie, Donno, and the Rotarians and the volunteers. But his question, his problem had not yet been solved. He was still really worried about what would happen to me. It was not until he got to the hospital, because he also met the nuns there who really consoled him. My parents are very religious, so this was really good for him. But also he got to meet Dr. Balboni, who was my cardiologist, God rest his soul. But he got the answer that he wanted, because after all the examination and discussion with the doctors, he remembers this. The doctor told him, your daughter has a 99.9% chance of survival. He says this statement alone just brought down all the weight that he had. And it was almost like the surgery was over. He was already relaying that he was going, at least he had a chance, an opportunity to take me back to my mom alive, and also to narrate his story of how successful the surgery was. Now, meanwhile, as my father was he really wanted to know how I would be during the surgery and wanted to know everything about the surgery. My journey was so different. I was very excited about getting on the aeroplane. And I also remember having all these balloons at my bedside. And then the other thing is, I remember being at Robbie Donno's mother, and then she had this store of food, candy, chocolates, and everything that I needed. This was something I never had back at home, because definitely mom would not allow you to have a whole store of, not even a box of biscuits. You would be given a piece of what was there. So this was very exciting for me. And I'm told that I would always ask her to make tea for me. Not really that I wanted the tea, but just I wanted to hear the kettle whistle. She had a whistling kettle. And And she always kept making the tea for me, and even though I didn't really drink it. I bring this to you just to let you know that the love that you give us when we come for surgery, the love that we receive back in our homes or when we travel for surgery, is just as important as the surgery we get. This whole story of my life has been a very big inspiration. And if you can see in that slide before, that second slide, there are 3 people there that have really been very important in my life. You can see Robbie Donno there, and then there is my mom and dad representing the parents, Robbie Donno and his wife representing the volunteers. And then we also have Dr. Balboni there representing all the medical staff. All these people, these groups of people have been very central in helping me get my new life. Now, the story of Gift of Life, the story of my life, has been so inspirational, not just for my parents, but for me as well. Growing up, my parents talked so much about this story. All this that I narrate to you today is really what my parents were able to tell me, because I was just 5 years then, and I really didn't know much. But it's just because of the love that they received that they were so inspired to always tell me. So this inspired me a lot from my childhood. I wanted to always give back to my parents. I always felt that they had this special love for me, but I have to do something in return to them. And in 2009, I actually lost my mother. And one thing that I'm always very grateful for is that for the 2 years that she was not well, I had the opportunity to be at her bedside and to give her this love that she gave me when I needed it most. And I was able to give her the same love when she needed this love for me. I feel that there is a lot that Gift of Life inspires me in everything that I do. Also in my career, I always wanted to really do something that would give back to Rotary, to Gift of Life, and even, to my parents, as I said. I was inspired to do those a subject because I was asked what I wanted to do at the university. And at that stage, I really didn't know much of what was expected, but at least I knew that I would like to be a doctor or do anything that would put me in touch with people, because I felt that I had received this love and I needed to give back. This actually, I ventured in agricultural economics, and this actually took me to work with communities in my hometown. Later on, we also started a Rotary Club back in my hometown. All this was an inspiration because I felt that I need to be part of those people that helped me. I need to know exactly what goes on in that program. Later on, working with the Gift of Life was a dream come true, because here I was living my story. I was looking at these mothers and seeing exactly what my parents went through, seeing exactly what I was going through. And to me, it was really nice for me to be able to share both the sorrows and joy with these families. To us, Gift of Life, and to us, Rotarians are heroes, because you are the people that bring this life to us. During that time that I worked with Gift of Life, I was also inspired by a little girl, Scovia, in the next slide. Scovia was 14 years old, and she was really, really sick. We didn't think that she could make it through the surgery. But I got so attached with this girl that she always stayed with us in our home whenever she was coming for her review. And one thing that I learned from her is that even before her surgery, She had a vision about what she wanted to be, what she wanted to do after her surgery. She told me that, Auntie, because she now called me her aunt because we got so attached to each other. She said, when I have my surgery, after my surgery, I would like to move from the school in the village and come and study in the city here so that I can do well and be able to help my parents. This was exactly what I felt growing up. I wanted to help my parents. The second question she asked me was that, will you receive me at the airport when I come back? Now, Scovia did not make it. She actually died at the hospital, and I was not there to receive even her body. But what the words of Scovia have always been in my heart and have been an inspiration for me. Scovia's parents have continued to be in touch with me, and they are forever grateful. They are not grateful because of us saving their daughter, but they're just grateful for the love that we showed them. Gift of Life has now gone into a stage whereby we, the beneficiaries, are growing up. And just as I had the inspiration to give back to Rotary and to give back to Gift of Life, we also now having our other beneficiaries that are getting into adulthood that are also giving back to Gift of Life. In the picture, I have Robina, who's working at the Heart Institute, Uganda Heart Institute, and also Brett, who is in South Korea. They have all been involved in the Rotary grants and also receiving children and getting involved in Rotary and Gift of Life programs. I see the future of Rotary and Gift of Life involving a lot of the beneficiaries, because we are forever grateful for this love that we've received, and we feel indebted to give back. So I see many beneficiaries being part of Rotary, being members of clubs, and also right now, even though some of them have not yet got to that age, they are helping their families, helping their communities, and helping other people. Now, Gift of Life has helped so many children, and it's helped so many children, and still, you find that there's still many children that need our help. And this is very, very disheartening to know that. Over 38,000, and yet every time you meet an additional child, it still breaks your heart. We all want life. We all want what is best for our children. I have listened to many stories of children needing help, but it's only until I have put that story in the context of my parents that I've really come to understand what it means to fight for your child. It's only then that I've understood what it means to hear the doctor say, your child has a heart problem. Your child needs surgery and needs to go abroad. And you don't even have enough help. You don't have enough money to feed your family. I have also known what it means to hear, to be told that you have a sponsor for your child, to be told your child is going to have surgery, your child is going to live a healthy life, your child has a 99.9% of survival. Friends, one child at a time, we can be able to give these to help these children tell their stories today with a smile. It's all in our hands. Thank you so much for inviting me again.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Grace. Love you.
Okay.
Robbie, Grace, thank you so much for your uplifting message. You have given us a gift this evening, and it's an amazing story that you have, and we're so glad that you shared that with us. I look forward to seeing you both in person in Houston at the Rotary International Convention next year. So let's make it a date to get together and reconnect and enjoy each other's company. Now, that's not the end, Robbie. We have a check here for $5,000. But that's not all. There's more. This $5,000 check was made possible from a donation from the Trenton Rotary. But I'd also like to let you know that Guima Laforme, the great leader, has asked us to make a donation in the name to Gift of Life as well. So thank you so much, Guima, for your additional $1,000 contribution.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much.
Wait.
And I hope to see you all
Wait.
in the question and answer room.
Wait, Donno, there's more, okay?
Oh,
Yes. There is another presenter. Her name is Jennifer Jones. And on her behalf,
wow.
there's going to be an additional $1,000 contributed. So we're going to be writing you a check. It's in the mail, $7,000. If any of the clubs would like to donate additional money, maybe we can run this up and run it off at 10 grand. So I hope we'll see if we can generate some more funds with this. So
well, thank you, Noel. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Chief. I mean, you're all wonderful. Thank you.
very good.
Thank you.
Grace, look forward to seeing you.